It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here. Today on the big program, lots to get to, lots to talk about. Maybe you've heard about it. A couple of banks went belly up. Maybe you heard that there's a bank, somewhere out in that valley where there's silicone, where they were piling a bunch of venture capitalists, startup companies into it, and then they pulled the rug out. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you heard about a couple of banks collapsed. Maybe you heard about another example of rich people doing what rich people do. And what's interesting to me is I couldn't help but think all weekend of, we saddle 18-year-olds with student loan debt. And we say, when you were 18, you made this choice. And, when you're 45 and 50, you still got to pay for it. That was your choice. No bailouts for you, kiddo. But our billionaire venture capitalists, again, from the beginning, started funneling their startup money into one bank. We come running with the checkbooks, don't we? We come running to bail them out because again, they create this environment that if we let one fall, the dominoes keep going. And this is another one of those amazing moments. One of those amazing moments where you go, evidently, not just apparently, banks need brakes just like trains do. And I got to wonder how long these banks were on fire before someone noticed, before they derailed. And this is, again, it doesn't matter to me whether it's banks or it's trains or whatever. This, again, is another story of the rich people telling us, trust us this time. Well, we learned our lesson. We won't do it again. No, we couldn't possibly do it again. I mean, we've learned from the last 500 times that we've screwed you over. This time will be different. And look, we're going to hear all kinds of right-wing, blathering. Oh, it's the woke crowd made them do it because they were investing in solar panels and green technology and some other things. It was the woke agenda. It was Biden. Biden's got the switch. There's a switch in the Oval Office that makes inflation go up, gas prices go up, and, of course, banks to go belly up. Yeah, that's it. Never mind the fact that, again, deregulation on steroids, where we've gone, no, we trust you smart people. We trust you smart people to do the right thing. We're going to give you rich people everything you could possibly want because, of course, you're smart. You know what to do with all of this money. You know what to do with all of this power. You're going to be benevolent. And time again, like Lucy with the football, we end up on our back staring up at the sky going, again? And somehow surprised that it's happened again. And here we are, another bank being taken over by regulators. It's got me going, why is it taking this long? Again, we go back to, and we can go back further than the 2008 collapse. This is a both sides situation. This is both Democrats and Republicans. Deregulation has been the killer of the working class. But the part that gets me, and the thing that has me most furious, is because, look, we hold those 18-year-old kids who take out student loans, we hold them accountable. You're going to lead a life of having to pay those loans back. Stay in mom's basement. But these companies we bail out. And the story Axios had it that pointed out that the executives on Friday before they announced, like literally hours before they announced that they were going to be taken over by the feds, they doled out their bonuses. They doled out their bonuses. And you go, wait a second. Now look, this is for work that they did back in 2022. Now, this is 2023. We're 3 whole months into this year, 2 in a couple of weeks. That was all last year. That was the good year. We earned those bonuses. That's ours. Again, they're getting their bonuses. They're being made whole while the people who've deposited money in their banks, entrusted these people to care for their resources, are being left out into the cold. Now me, this is one of those moments where I'm going, lock them up. I know President Biden came out and said, he's committed to holding people accountable. We're going to hold people responsible. We're going to do all these things. We're going to strengthen oversight. Yeah. Regulation. Yeah. We hear this every time. And for me, I said, what is accountable these days? What is fully accountable? The president said we're going to hold these people fully accountable. What does that mean? Does that mean prison? Does that mean restitution? Does that mean they have to give the bonuses back? Does that mean we'll only give them a little bonus? Does this mean that we tar and feather them in town square? What does this mean? Because we never hold these people accountable, ever. In 2008, when they brought this country to its knees, how many people went to jail? I can think of one, Bernie Madoff. Well, maybe that Raj guy too. But they were obnoxious about it. What about all of the people who seem to be the same characters who are doing it again? It's remarkable to me that we never hold anybody accountable. There's never any accountability for the wealthy. But for working people, it's absolute. So think about 2008 with me, if you will. You think about all those people who lost their homes because these criminals crashed our economy. And the government had to. We're told we had to. And look, I believe we did have to, or it would have been much worse. But we went with the checkbook wide open. But did we help mom and pop? Did we help people who were losing their homes? No. And this is where working people have had enough of it. This is where working people are finally going, you know what, maybe let them fail. Okay, fine. Maybe we're all going to take it on the chin. But I want to see these people on the street corner with a tin cup. I want to see these people finally lose something. Because the wealthy never lose, because they're never playing with their own money. It's always somebody else's. They always set someone else up. Here's the thing. We always hear about moral hazard. If we give those poor working people, like $300 a month, to feed their children. Those kids are going to get used to eating and they're going to get lazy. That's a moral hazard that I don't know that we as a country, I don't know that we can do that. $300 a month. But $250 billion to bail out no worries. Don't worry. All good. Now, again, this is another one of those stories. You go back to Clinton undoing Glass-Steagall in a bipartisan way. Remember, bipartisanship. Gotta love bipartisanship. Whenever you hear bipartisanship, grab your wallet, working people, because you're about ready to get screwed, which is why I'm not a huge fan of it. The only time bipartisanship actually happens is when it benefits the wealthy. Anytime we do something in a bipartisan fashion, rich people are smiling. Poor people are getting screwed. And this is where we as working people had better come around to the idea where we better take over one of the political parties and make them our champion. Because this bipartisan stuff always seems to end up with, well, we don't need regulations on banks. We can get rid of that Glass-Steagall that brought the country to its knees during the Depression, that put a dividing line between boring banking like, car loans and mortgages and the gambling stuff. No, we learned. So you got Graham Leach, Bliley, and they rammed through, Gingrich and Clinton and clan did away with the regulations. Said, go on, banking folks. The casino's open. And in 8 short years, they brought this country damn near to its knees. So we came in and said, we got to do something. And we, Dodd-Frank, strong regulation. Not as strong as Glass-Steagall, but we got some regulation. And what'd they do? Not more than 10 years later, 2018, bipartisanship. You had what was it, 33 Democrats and all of the Republicans in the House. You had 17 Democrats and all of the senators, Republicans in the Senate, voting for a partial repeal of Dodd-Frank because it was too onerous, it was too difficult. And you had Trump's signature on it, which led to what we have right now. This is what bipartisanship and deregulation got us. And what they were looking for at the time was an appropriate level of regulation. Not too onerous, enough that the rich people could do whatever they wanted, and it would just be on you poor people. And I go back to this. Bipartisanship is always to benefit the rich. And it always allows working people to be sold out. So am I surprised? No. Am I surprised that you got rich people who are going to a bank and over leveraging this bank, getting all of their startup funding at one place, all the vulture capitalists, all of them coming together and saying, we're gonna load this place up and then pull out the rug again. Like Lucy with the football, which is what is being told to us is what Peter Thiel did on last Thursday, and then all the vulture capitalists came in and picked at the bones before the regulators came in and said, there's a run on the bank, we better stop this. For me, this is another one of those examples of, maybe this is why we need to be taxing the rich people a lot. Maybe this is a reason we need to have strong regulations that doesn't allow this to happen. And maybe, here's an idea, and I'm channeling Alan Greenspan. I remember Alan Greenspan testifying, back in the 90s about mortgage-backed securities. And he was saying, we can't regulate these things because they're so complicated. Only true smart people understand these things. Only the truly smart, the money wise, know how to use these things. And I remember, thinking back at the time, if it's that complicated, should we have it? If it's that risky, should we allow it? And time again, these smart, rich people keep proving to us that they're dangerous. That if we allow them to their own vices, they're going to screw us over. And they're going to harm our economy. And they're going to hold us hostage. And they know that they're going to do it. And there's part of me that goes, they do this on purpose, knowing that the taxpayer is the backstop. That they can gamble all they want. The casino is wide open to them because there's no collateral. Again, they don't lose their homes. They're not living on the street corner with a tin cup and some pencils. Their children are going to go to the best schools. Their kids are going to eat tonight. It's your kids that are going to struggle. And as long as we keep playing red hat, blue hat, drag shows, as long as we keep doing this nonsense, they're going to keep robbing us blind. Because again, I go back to Rupert Murdoch, and thank you, Rupert, for the statement of the ages. It's not about red or blue. It's about green. And this is another example of that. It's both sides who've been screwing us over. Only the Republicans have been doing it in much bigger numbers. Yes, there were Democrats. Corporate Democrats, yes. But the mass of the Democrats were saying, hey, look, this is bad. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, they were out there screaming, this change is going to bite us in the you-know-what. And that's exactly what it's done. So for the president, President Biden, I want you to hold people accountable. I just want to know what that means. And I'm going to ask you, what does that mean? What would accountability, what would proper accountability be? Jail? Is that proper? restitution, pay back the billions they owe that they don't have, put them out on the street corner, or, in town square, where they can be tarred and feathered by the people who are going to lose their jobs and their homes potentially. Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Quick break. Right back.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Unions are making a comeback. More organizing in the last couple of years than in a long time. And the Biden administration being more supportive of unions than any president since FDR. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
It takes a lot to raise a family. A good job, a good salary, and some patience. A lot of people my age are drowning in college debt, but I chose a different path. I'm a member of the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I work hard for my job, and I love what I do. I had a lot of choices for my future, but I made the best choice for my family. IBEW, the right choice.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
So last night I was up late and nothing to do. Everyone else was asleep, so I decided I was going to watch a movie. And I talked about the other day this movie with Andy Griffith, the Face in the Crowd movie, 1957, fabulous movie. Walter Matthau, Lee Remick. It's an incredible movie, and if you haven't seen it, by all means. It is a movie that every political junkie should see, because what happens is they create this character that they make into an influencer, that they make into a character, and this influencer is somebody who's really powerful. He's got like a 55 share of the New York market. Like the country is following this guy because they think he's one of them, and the wealthy guys going, we're going to make you an influencer. You're going to be the guy who influences politics. You're going to be the guy that people follow. So there's a guy who's running for president, Senator Fuller, in the movie, who now Lonesome Rhodes is taken under his wing, and he gets on TV and he asks him throws him a softball question. He goes, I'd wish you'd give me a real cotton-picking truth. How you feel about more and more Social Security? This is 1957 that this guy asked this Senator Fuller. And Fuller's response was, I'm glad you asked me that question there, Lonesome. I'd say that people today are obsessed. I mean, really gone for security. They want protection, coddling, from cradle to grave. I say that weakens the moral fiber, he says. Why, Daniel Boone wasn't looking for unemployment insurance and old age pension. All he needed was an axe and his gun and a chance to hew out a living in the forest with his own hands. That's the spirit that built this country. We need big men, not big government. And I'm going, whoa, that could have been said yesterday. That was 1957. And now you've got Bill Cassidy, senator from Louisiana, who said today, Social Security is a Silicon Valley Bank of retirement system. It's the Silicon Valley Bank of retirement system. It's just a matter of whether we let it bleed to death or do something now. We need a credible plan. He says, if politicians tell you that they don't want to fix it, they don't want to fix social, and that there's no problem, they're either too old or too rich to care. And you go, exactly what happened at this bank is exactly what they want to do to Social Security. They want to privatize it and put it into the hands of these vulture capitalists. But again, they think we're stupid, just like they did back in 1957. Let's quick go to the phones. Got Alice on one. Alice, how are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. We are stupid, Rick. You know, the first bank failure, we're going to go all the way back to 1819. The very first bank failure in the United States. And what it was? Speculation. Then followed that in 1837, and again, speculative lending practices. Then 1873, then 1907, on and on. And we never learned anything.
Nope.
Not one thing.
No, and
it's crazy.
No, it's another one of those things where they've learned the lesson that we're going to continue to bail them out, and they keep making riskier and riskier decisions. And what we're told is we give them all the tax breaks and all these advantages because, hey, they're taking the risks. But what risk? Every time they take a risk and lose, we bail them out.
Exactly. The point is they're not taking a risk. Maybe to their reputation, that's about it. But when it comes down to it, your working class and your middle class people are the ones who are bailing them out. And then we're told, well, you know, you can't pay for the old people and you can't pay for the poor or the children. Even though Jesus tells us to, and we're a Christian nation, by God, we can't do that.
Yeah.
They're all crazy. We never learn. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Alice. No, I mean, again, this is another one of those moments where you go, they keep telling us who they are, but we don't seem to believe them. And on this Social Security front, this is another one of those things. Remember State of the Union? They said, no, who, us? No, just cut Social Security? No, never, not us, never. And you go, but you've got Cassidy here. You've got John Kennedy, also from Louisiana. You've got all of these, John Thune. You've got all of these Republican senators going, you know, we need to push it off for further down the road. We need to do all of these things to, in essence, cut it. But also you got the voices who are saying we need to privatize it. You know, we need to put it into the hands of the profiteers. Let the vulture capitalists get their hands on it. Now stop and think about this for a minute. You know, we didn't learn our lesson in 2008, evidently, because they're still talking about it, and they haven't been voted out of office yet. And right now, we've got this guy going, well, Social Security is the Silicon Valley Bank of retirement systems. No, it's not. We don't allow Social Security to do risky, dumb stuff. We don't gamble with people's Social Security. I know that's what you want them to do. I know that's the scheme if you hand it over to the criminals on Wall Street, because that's what they will do. But here's the problem. They keep at it. They keep at it. And we are defending the 20th century. We're defending things. You know, it's like that analogy they use for the Department of Homeland Security. They got to be right every time. We got to stop every attack. And Republicans attack, always on the offensive. And Democrats have been on the defensive for a very long time. And then this nonsense of, we got to compromise. You know, we've got to compromise. So when they go, you know what? You know, I love their style of compromise. You know, we want both your legs. And Democrats go, no, we can't give you both legs. How about a foot? How about one leg? You know, and before you know what? They got both legs. I mean, this is one of those moments where you go, at some point, don't we say no more? This is where I'm frustrated. Don't we learn the lessons? And can't we begin to rein in the abuses, regulate them, tax them, hold them accountable? I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and My day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. Then the Teamsters pushed the law so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind. The union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
Indigenous people have been saying that we feel a shift in the climate for decades. Climate change is here. The time is now to pass the torch on to the next generation of clean energy warriors. We need to put the land back to work for our people. That means creating jobs for them to live and thrive in our communities. The time is now. Congress must invest in clean energy.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At the Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right, left, or red, blue, when they are and always have been up, down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.